The ninth studio album from the American singer Britney Spears comes 3 years after her previous album, which was anything but an enjoyable listen. With almost 2 decades in the industry, Britney has undeniably cemented herself as one of this generation's most iconic female singers and has been responsible for some of the best pop songs within her career. Unfortunately, around the mid-2000s during her nutty phase, she was responsible for some of her worst material. Admittedly, she's way past her prime, but nevertheless, she does pique plenty of intrigue whenever she does drop some new material. And with her recent project entitled Glory having received positive responses from many critics, I was interested to give this album a listen, and to be honest, I struggled to see what so many people find appealing about this album. Regarding the lyrical content, the album doesn't exactly have much in terms of variety. For the most part, the songs involve Britney just wanting to fuck some guy. Nothing more, nothing less. This theme opens up the album and bookends it. The opening track, Invitation, is one of the more sensual and seductive style tracks where Britney invites some dude to pour his love over her. I know what this is supposed to mean, but I can't be the only one who cannot help but let their mind wander on that one. Make Me, which features a guest verse from rapper G-Eazy, follows suit, except here Britney comes off more lustful and blatant when it comes to wanting dick in her. Do You Wanna Come Over relates to her sex toy who's had a bit of a stressful day and she's willing to alleviate his stress by shagging his brains out. Slumber Party sees Britney setting up the scene so that she and her fella can make a sex tape. Laugh Me Down is nothing more than Britney admitting that she just wants to fuck, nothing whatsoever that demands any more insight or analysis. Clumsy recounts a scenario where Britney is getting down and dirty with some guy who apparently is a complete and utter klutz in the bedroom. It simply screams at someone trying to create a humorous track, but there's nothing whatsoever funny or enjoyable about this song at all. Just Love Me is where Britney upfront states that she's not going to ask nothing from her man except for his love. And that's not my poor use of English there, that's how the lyrics have been written. You know, the day that double negatives become obsolete, that cannot come soon enough. And the album's closer, Want You Now, is where Britney wants to do nothing but bang some guy constantly. Songs that don't fall into the previous theme include Private Show, a song where Britney takes on the role of a pole dancer and is about as sexy as you think it is, i.e. it isn't in any way, shape or form. Man on the Moon, easily the best song in the album, sees Britney pining for her lover, which, considering the rest of the album, is very easy to not buy this persona, but I can't deny that there's a certain tenderness to it that works well. Just Like Me is where she gets all dressed up to surprise her fella, only to walk in on him as he's shagging some bird who's a Britney lookalike, and basically tells the guy to go and do one. And finally, the penultimate track, Hard to Forget Ya, shows Britney being lured by some guy who she's unable to get out of her head, purely for aesthetical reasons, naturally. Putting aside the poor songwriting, the vocals have been praised by so many critics, and honestly, I don't know what they're smoking to come to that conclusion. The vocal effects and auto-tune over Britney's voice is so distracting and blatant that the listening experience is severely hindered. Although Invitation isn't overtly awful and it's one of the few songs that I can stand, it could have been so much better if the deliveries were more organic. She sounds like she's been punched in the gut on Private Show, she has a blocked nose on Clumsy, there are moments on Love Me Down where she sounds as though she's singing into a fan, and the layered vocals are so smothered in electronic effects that also makes the listening experience a tough one. But I will highlight the more tolerable moments. I don't mind the breathy delivery on Just Love Me, I think it suits the song's tone nicely. Make Me is one of this album's songs that has the most clarity in terms of vocal delivery. Just Like Me also follows suit in that regards, although there are robot vocals at the beginning. I do find Man on the Moon very enjoyable and I really like the chorus as well. Despite the shallowness of Hard to Forget Ya, the delivery is decent enough, and despite lacking a fair amount of control on what you need, it's passable enough with the jazzy, funky instrumentation. Speaking of which, the main body of the instrumentation is mainly rooted in pop and dance, and usually a decent instrumentation can make up for a track's misgivings, but here those are few and far between. Invitation and Just Love Me both have spacey synth tones that create an almost hypnotic aura. The second's drum beat is a bit heavier but doesn't have the opposite effect of making the song unbearable. The synths combined with the soft electric guitar delivery and the crescendo into the chorus on Make Me are decent. Man on the Moon has an appealing dance beat going on, and the introduction of an acoustic guitar on Just Like Me shows one of the few moments where organic instrumentation is used on this project. But naturally there are many duff moments to be found. Do You Wanna Come Over attempts to be a dance track, but the warped bass line is simply terrible, along with what sounds like a cracking knuckles sound effect. Clumsy is screaming for something with a bit of bass to root the song to the ground. The constant snapping sounds with the minimalistic beat on Private Show comes off oddly eerie and unattractive, and the reggae stylings on Slumber Party seem weirdly out of place. It's not bad, but the percussion of the chorus doesn't give it much room to breathe. Overall, with the way Britney's sound has gone in the last few years, I don't see her coming anywhere close to recapturing her glory years. Considering the fact that Britney does have a good singing voice, the fact that the vast portion of this project has her sounding more cybernetic than a living, breathing organism is a severe turn-off. But the moments when she veers away from this, she sounds fine. Whilst it's better than her previous outing, I do find myself feeling less than enthused about this project, and I can only recommend the tracks as listed below. Overall, I score this album a 57 out of 100.